One of the things I was excited about about the commercial is I think it is the only one I've ever seen on daytime television where someone is obviously gay.
I didn't tell any of my friends. I barely told my family that I was in this commercial because I had no idea if it was going to be like, oh, that's my hand, there it is, you know, like, oh, that's my thing, that's my ear, I think, you know, like, so I don't want to be like, guys, I'm in this commercial.
It was you, like, right up in, right.
Yeah, yes. It's still so crazy to me because I had no idea how big it was going to be, like how many times it was going to be on TV, because apparently it's on every 57 seconds somewhere. Nowhere in the commercial did it even say that I was gay, and I didn't deny it because I don't have anything to deny. It is what it is who I am. But I wasn't on the commercial saying, I'm gay, you know, like...
And I'm touching your pizza.
Yeah, you know, I just said, I'm Jess, and I'm making your pizza, you know, like, that's it. Like, there's nothing more to it. And it wasn't a conscious decision. It wasn't something that they talked about, you know, prior to hiring me. It was just, you know, we like Jess. This is who she is.
Right, as a person.
You know, like, this is how she is with her customers, and we want to show that on our commercial. And I was so happy that I didn't feel, because I was worried, like, you know, I may talk, I may look great on camera, I may say the right things, and, you know, I may have the right energy, but what if they're afraid? You know, like, I know what I look like. I know that I'm not going to fit into what
the stereotypical role
and who is supposed to represent, you know, a large company. And I was really happy that I didn't get discriminated against in any which way, shape, or form. They didn't ask me to change my hair, to don't wear, you know, that shirt. Like, no, like, come in, you know, like, I was in my uniform. Like, make pizzas as you are. Be who you are. Show us who you are, because we want to show the real Jess. Jose and I are the first store managers to ever be on the Domino's commercial.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're like, you know, a Domino's history marker.
Apparently. And it's cool.
And probably the only lesbian ever in a Domino's commercial at this point.
I don't think I ever thought about commercials in general.
Yeah.
And how I've never seen.
You never do. You
like,
really don't.
Obviously, gay people.
And I have a problem with that because I feel like the more normal it is, the more accepted it's going to be. Because the more you hide it, it's like, oh my God, what is that? Like, what's happening here? And that's why people don't know how to react, and then you get all that negative feedback. But if it happened all the time, people would be like, oh, it's just everywhere all the time.
Sorry.
That's fine.
No, I agree though. You know, I wasn't thinking about it when we filmed it. Like, oh, I'm going to be the first, you know, obviously gay lesbian on TV. You know, I had no idea that I just didn't think about it. When you watch TV, you're bombarded with the same images on a regular basis, that it doesn't seem like I'm any different than anybody else on TV. It's just a regular person. I work at this place. Like, you know, I wasn't thinking about all the other things that other people, you know, nicely commented on or negatively commented on.
I did want to talk about the negative feedback that was on YouTube, because a lot of people have that problem, a lot of LGBT video bloggers and things like that. So if you could just tell everybody how you handled it and how you feel, you know, it's nice to hear that kind of perspective.
You know, my first reaction to the negative feedback was, I'm not even going to justify it with a response, because what is there to say? You know, you can't fight ignorance. It's ignorance, and I can't change it. I'm not going to change the world completely. So I didn't want to get mad and argue and start some kind of crazy back and forth, like, I'm going to prove my point, you're going to prove your point, because they're not going to listen. They don't hear what I'm saying. And then, I don't know, something when somebody said that I was the devil's hands or a devil's worker, that definitely sparked my interest a little bit. So I did comment back and let him know that he may not want to watch the commercial because he could possibly catch the gay.
That is beautiful.
And I also let him know that it probably wouldn't be good to leave the house, because I hear that it's something you can't get rid of.
No, you can't.
That was my only response, because, you know, it's funny to me at this point. Like, not that it's a joke, but I'd rather take it with that attitude than take it home and take it to heart and cry about it later, because there are more people that have shown support than have shown hate. And I hope one day the people that show hate can find somebody that they meet in person that can change their mind. But over the internet, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just another comment.
You
know.
I think it's so surprising that people take the time to make comments that are that ignorant.
And long.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Long.
They wrote novels.
Exactly.
Absolute novels. I couldn't believe if I don't have that kind of time. I don't know about everybody else. So this is Jess's fiance, I guess now. Fiance Michelle. And you guys are getting married in
November 20th.
Aw, that is so cute.
Yeah. And this is a really cute story, and she's gonna get embarrassed when I tell you anyway.
Okay, good. I can't wait to hear it.
So I worked at this little luncheonette, and her grandmother, it was like all old people all the time. So, and they come in like 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They were there just hanging out. So her grandmother used to come in every day and tell me about her granddaughter Michelle, and she'd show me her picture. And I thought she was so pretty. And I was not obviously gay yet. I had long hair, so I was able to say, "Oh my God, your granddaughter's so gorgeous." And I would go back to school because I was in high school and be like, there's this girl. I don't really know her. She's Picture Girl. And,
She's Picture Girl.
and that's all I referred to her as was Picture Girl. And I talked about her all the time because I was 16 and stupid, and that's what you do, right? So I developed this crush on a girl that I didn't even know. And a year and a half later, I'm at a Starbucks, and I walk in and I start talking to the girl behind the counter. And I'm like, "You look so familiar." And she's like, "Oh, I'm from Carteret." I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Carteret." So I'm like, "You ever go to the bus stop? I used to work there." And that's what the luncheonette was called. And she's like, "No, my grandmother goes all the time." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're Michelle." And she looks at me like, "Stalker?" And I'm like,
Who are
"I'm
you?"
sorry. I'm not a stalker. Your grandmother shows me your picture like every day for, I don't know, a year at that point. So I know you, but I don't know you." And
And then I turned about 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh great.
and she's like, "Oh God," and then she's all embarrassed, like, "No. And this is where I eat my foot. And I'm like, "No, it was a great picture of you. It was your Montclair State graduation picture," because I know every detail about that picture, and God forbid I ever acted a little cool and nonchalant, but no, I'm like knowing every detail of the picture and the way her hair fell over her face. And so, yeah, and at the time, I was still in high school, and she had just graduated college. And she didn't know this, and she didn't know I was still in high school. We had a mutual friend. One girl that I knew from her college was her roommate. Like, small world. So I walk out of Starbucks, and an hour later, my phone rings, and it's her friend that I know. And she's like, "So you met Michelle?" And I was like, "No way, she called you." And she's like, "She thinks you're cute." I'm like, "Picture Girl thinks I'm cute." And I am, like, on top of the world. So we make plans to all go out, 3 of us. We go to, like, Fridays. And as we're talking, she's like, "Oh, so, what are your plans next year for school? Where are you going to go?" And I'm like, "I'm still in high school." And that ended that really quick. Like, instantly, like, done. Okay, it was really, so she walked me out a little while. Not, like, immediately, but she walked me out. And she was like, "You're really cute, but you're really way too young." And I was like, "I get it." But we ran into each other all the time. And never, like, in our hometown. And then we almost pursued something, but I don't think either one of us were ready. I was 19 and still figuring out myself, and she was still figuring out herself. And I had liked her for years, and I was scared. 3 years in the making, I had this crush on somebody, and I put her on a pedestal that I don't think she could have ever reached because it was different. It wasn't right. We needed to know each other for who we were, and not for the person I believed she was because of a picture and a story. Which she ended up being, anyway, what I thought she would be. But we stayed friends, and we were always in other relationships. And in those relationships, we talked about things that we probably shouldn't have talked about with each other. And it was always a huge undertone of, "I have feelings for you," without ever saying, "I have feelings for you." And 10 years later, we finally decided to stop pretending. And she asked me, she texted me and said, "How come we never dated?" I said, "I'm going to stop with this." And I was like, "Honestly, I've liked you for 10 years. I have no idea why we never dated." And we went out a little while later, and she proposed like a couple weeks after that.
Yeah.
Wow. So there is a church that's going to marry you.
Our church that we go to is definitely interested, and they will call it a marriage. It's a marriage to them. They are willing to even change the he's to she's, and
Very nice.
it's awesome.
Which is amazing that they're willing to do this kind of wedding, considering a lot of churches are like freaking out right now and refusing the rites, and a lot of people are getting married in Central Park, and they had a pop-up chapel that I missed.
Yeah.
I've never had anything feel so right. And I knew the second she actually met me at work one night. Our first night we hung out again after a couple of years, and that was our first date. And I knew the second she walked in the door that this was the girl I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I even, speaking of family, I called my aunt. I don't have my parents, so I called my aunt and I said, if I had my mom, I would have called her and said this, but I just want to let you know that I just went on a date with the girl that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And I did.
Yes, it's very cool. Oh, that's cute. I'm glad I have that.
She always messes up my glasses.